Hello, folks. My name is Caleb Bradford, and today we're going to be talking about economic rights. Now, this is something that I have on my daily show. If you tune in to Caleb Bradford Central every day on Eastern Time, 7 p.m. on ABC. But we're going to be tackling a new topic today, a topic that people don't usually like to talk about. So, when talking about economics, where do you start? Usually, you can start within private property rights. What are private property rights? It means if you owe something, the law protects it. Back in 1887, the Dawes Act divided Native American tribal land into private plots. The idea was that ownership would encourage investment and economic development. But sometimes people take property rights too far. Like when your little brother says, "This is my charger," even though it's been everybody's charger since 2019. Kids learn private property rights early. Touch somebody's fries at lunch, and suddenly there's an internal conflict. "Those are my fries. No, those are my fries." It's a lot of stuff you don't want to deal with. Speaking of private property rights, let's talk about opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is basically the cost of what you didn't choose. For example, in the 2025 NBA draft, the Dallas Mavericks traded Luka Doncic. That decision cost them opportunities that they could have had later. Economics says every choice has a trade off. Like staying up all night playing video games. The opportunity cost? Passing the test. Because since you stayed up all night and didn't study, are you going to even pass? My opportunity cost this week was choosing snacks over sleep. Economists call this poor decision making, but you know what I call it? I call it any Tuesday. When the Dallas Mavericks traded Luka Doncic, in return, they received the number one rookie in the 2025 NBA draft. They gave up their best player to receive something that they could have in the future. Relating it to basketball, opportunity cost, again, is what you didn't choose, but you still have to pay the price for. This will also help us go into the 4 factors of production. Economists say there are 4 factors of production. There's land, there's labor, there's capital, and entrepreneurship. Think about this. Amazon warehouses, obviously. You need land for the buildings. You need workers to move the products. You need machines and delivery trucks for capital and managers to organize everything. This is an example of land being the land that it is on. Capital, which would be the buildings and the workers. Labor, which would only be the workers. And entrepreneurship, which would be the investors and the managers. Without one of those, the whole system falls apart. Imagine Amazon with no workers. Imagine Amazon with no entrepreneurs. Imagine Amazon with no land. Imagine Amazon with no capital. Jeff Bezos would personally be delivering your toothbrush. Entrepreneurship is basically when someone says, "What if we sold water, right? But in a super fancy bottle and we charge people more than what they deserve to pay." Now let's talk about the law of supply and demand. When demand goes up and supply stays low, low prices rise. During the PS5 shortage back in 2022, people were paying crazy prices because everyone wanted one. But when supply increased, prices started dropping. Think about it like this. When you have more of something, it's less valuable, which means that prices are going to go down if you have more of an item. The PS5s, prices went down because there was more PS5s available. That's economics. Gamers call it emotional damage. I like to call it a random Tuesday night. People were paying $1,000 for a PS5 just to play basketball games while sitting on the couch and yelling at their wife to come bring them a beer. Can you imagine that? $1,000. Current day PS5s are only $500. The reason that the price went down, again, is because the law of supply and demand. Lower demand, lower prices. Higher demand, higher prices. Speaking of prices, let's talk about prices and scarcity. Scarcity means there's not enough of something for everybody. When resources are limited, prices rise. Think about it like this. If you have a super rare sneaker that nobody else in the world has, imagine how much you think that's going to be. That's why gas prices make everybody suddenly become transportation experts. They know the bus routes, they know the train routes, they know everything because people don't want to pay for gas. If scarcity gets worse, we're all going to be trading snacks like we're at the lunch table, when in reality, it's supposed to be the stock market. People don't pay attention to things like how much gas is supposed to cost, and they only pay attention when the prices are high. This is because of the scarcity of oil. If we had more oil available, gas would be way cheaper than it is today. But since we have that orange man at president with the toupee, it's a little different than what it's supposed to be. Let's talk about government trade policy. Government also controls trade using tariffs and agreements. A tariff is like taxing something that use comes out of the country. So you're taxing the other country to ship it inside of the country. Now, I have my whole entire different take on tariffs, so I'm not going to get into that today. But during the Great Depression, there was something called the Smoot-Hawley tariff. It raised taxes on imports to protect American businesses. Pretty much, make people pay more and make countries pay more to import things in the country so that people only want to buy stuff in the country. Instead of people purchasing items outside of the country because they're more expensive, people are more likely to go to people that are in America. This basically protects businesses, but sometimes tariffs make products so much more expensive. Basically, the government says, we're helping the economy. Everybody in the grocery bill starts crying because when trade fails, it's like group projects at school. Everybody blames each other for something that didn't get finished. Now let's talk about debt and let's talk about credit. Debt and credit are basically borrowing now and worrying later. Think about it like this. There's this thing we have modern day. It's called Afterpay. Pretty much it traps you. It makes you think that you're going to have money to pay later, but they really want you to trap in debt and put you in interest. It's like in the 1920s. Americans bought cars, radios, and appliances using something new called installment credit. Installment credit boosted the economy because everybody assumed they could just pay it back later. What happens when people couldn't pay it back? That's the danger of debt. Debt can help businesses grow, but also creates a big financial risk. That's why the Great Depression happened in the 1930s after the Roaring 20s, because in the 1920s, Americans thought they could afford stuff that they really couldn't afford. When banks went down, and banks basically said, we need the money back, otherwise we can't keep giving loans, people started losing their jobs. Now let's talk about budgeting. Something that we all need to learn how to do. Finally, budgeting means planning how to use your money wisely. You focus on your needs before your wants. You want to buy that brand new PS5, but you know you have groceries. You want to go on this expensive vacation, but you know you have to pay your rent and your car note. So maybe buying groceries before another pair of shoes is the better idea. Budgeting helps people avoid overspending and financial stress. Or at least that's what economists say while buying coffee every morning. My budget says save money, but every single morning I go to Starbucks and pay for a $7 drink. My online shopping cart also says absolutely not. We don't save money, we spend it. We really learn economics is really about the choices that we as people make. Property rights, opportunity costs, supply and demand, debt, trade, all affect daily life. And remember, your wallet is empty. That's not scarcity. That's called being a student. My name is Caleb Bradford, and I want to say good night. This has been the Daily Show for Economics with Caleb Bradford, and I hope you guys took a lot from what we learned. Let's do a quick review of everything we said. Private property rights, if you owe something, the law protects it. Opportunity costs, basically the cost of what you didn't choose. 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. Land for buildings, workers to move products, delivery trucks and machines for capital, and managers, which are entrepreneurs. Law of supply and demand. When demand goes up, supply stays low. Low prices rise. When demand goes up, supply stays low. When supply goes up, demand stays low. Prices and scarcity. When resources are limited, prices rise. That's called scarcity. Government trade policy. Government uses trade and tariffs during agreements. This is supposed to make everybody happy, but we know it doesn't. Great Depression, booming 20s. Debt and credit. Borrowing and worrying later. Putting you in crippling debt, not being able to feed your family because you wanted to buy a new car. Budgeting. Planning how to use your money wisely. I hope this really helped you guys. And that quick review was just a couple of 4 things you should remember. Don't forget, economics is extremely serious, but if you take it the right way, you will learn how to spend your money the right way. This is Caleb Bradford, and I'm happy I got to be your Daily Show host for tonight. Everybody have a good evening, and make sure you don't go in crippling debt.